This is the Golden Marriage Show with Salano Inzai and Burial.
Hello family, friends. I hope all of you are doing fine. Today we are in Busia County. I'm called Beryl Salano and we are going to cover a beautiful story. Thank you. Stay tuned.
Thank you so much for joining us today. We are in Busia County to cover one of the most inspiring story, a story that has depicted patience, love, and persistence. These people have been in marriage for 28 years without a child, and the husband never married a second wife, neither did the wife leave the marriage. They have been together for 28 years until God blessed them with a child. So we are here to hear from them. So we will start by introducing them. I'll want the dad to introduce the mom, and mom to introduce the dad.
My beloved, my brother. I normally call him my brother. He's called Engineer Samuel Obola Ogege. He's coming from Saya County. He's normally a man of principles. He's firm. He doesn't speak much. He's a man of a few words, but he's firm. When he says something, he'll make sure he'll do it. If he promises you to do something, he will not change his mind. But if he doesn't want, then he can tell you, I don't think it is possible. So that is what has made our marriage to be very successful, because when he says something, he will. When he tells you he'll do something, he'll do it. If he says that one I don't think, he will not do it.
Okay.
So I had to learn to be with him like that.
He's a man who keeps his words.
He's a man who keeps his words.
Wow.
And he's so much principled. And he doesn't just speak for what to do.
Wow, that's great. Thank you so much, ma'am. Dad.
Interesting, huh? She's Roslyn. The maiden name was Atieno. Now she's Roslyn Atieno Gege. She was born in Migori County. And now married to me in Rarieda of Siaya County. Well, she's also forthright, straightforward, and prayerful. So I think that is what has kept us together. We have gone through ups and downs of life, but through all this, she has remained very, very prayerful.
When did you meet each other, or for how long have you been married?
Which is 5 years today. And I conceived when I was 49. You can count.
49.
That's 54.
So I'm now 54. So we stayed for 28 years.
28 years.
Yes.
And 28 years plus.
Plus 5.
Plus 5.
That is 33.
Yes.
Married for 33 years.
33
Now
years.
Because today Mitch is 5.
So today is their son's birthday.
Yes, by the way we've come
Mitch
on a
is
birthday.
turning 5 today. And we are here because of Mitch. So the whole story is about Mitch. So I want you maybe to just briefly tell us, where did you meet her? And how did this relationship start? Nani alianzisha?
Well, I think our meeting was a little old-fashioned.
Old-fashioned.
Old-fashioned. When we met, I was still working with the Ministry of Roads in the head office. She had finished her A-levels as it was then. We used to have those things called A-levels. So she had done her Form 6 in a school called Ogrande Girls. By coincidence, she's a cousin to the late Dr. Mbai.
Oh.
Their mothers are sisters. She was staying with the Mbais. Mrs. Mbai was working with us. She was our accountant. And Mrs. Mbice invited me to their house, and that is how we met. After that, things moved, and here we are. So it's old-fashioned.
Okay.
Okay, they came for lunch at our place, Dr. Mbice, the late Mbice place.
Yes.
And I was instructed to make lunch for them. I didn't know the person who was coming. So I just made lunch as usual, and I organized everything, and I think he was impressed by the way the things,
How the food was made.
the way the food was made, and how everything was organized. I think the comment he made was wonderful, very much organized. I must marry this guy.
Just like that.
Yeah.
You spoke about marrying this girl the first day you saw. You ate her food.
Sure. Yes.
That was the report I got from Mrs. Bai. That he said it's wonderful. Very much organized. I must marry this guy.
Wow.
That's how it started. And
That's so interesting. Just because of food, and the man said, and they're saying the way to the man's heart is through the stomach. And you're able to access his heart like that, and that's now we are here 33 years later. Thank you so much. So your story about childlessness for 28 years in your marriage is so inspiring, and that's why I'm here to just hear about it. So at what point, or after how many years in your marriage, did you discover that you could not bear a child?
normally it is not a year. You expect to get to conceive almost immediately, because like ladies, there is a period for a woman to become pregnant almost every month. But when you go 1, 2, 3, and 4 months, then you start asking yourself what is wrong.
And
The 6th month, you start.
And there are no contraceptives.
And there's nothing you're using, and the 6th month, you start asking. After 1 year, you say no. But you still hold on. We still had to hold on, maybe because he was staying away from us. He was in Nairobi and I'm here. Maybe you say maybe because he's staying away and you are. But after 1 year, even if he's staying away, you start asking questions. There must be something wrong.
Okay.
So we stayed. Then I think after 2 years, we didn't wait for 3 years. After 2 years, the 2nd year we started looking. Of course, I had started asking myself now what is wrong, because he would come and time maybe when I'm unfertile, and there was nothing coming up. So then is when we seek for medication. And normally men don't go for medication. They always wait for women to do it for them on their behalf. But we went and was checked. He was checked, and they realized that Kambiani was having a problem. So we tried treatment. One of my tubes was blocked.
Just one side.
So we still believed that by one tube you can become pregnant.
Yeah.
So they tried to open it through operation, which it was very bad for me, because I became sick after that. I was so sick. The doctor talked to us and he said it is something which can be corrected. We went for an operation. I went for an operation, which they did. But I don't know what happened in between.
No, maybe before you get into medications, I want to know your reaction at first. You've been told that you have a problem with your tubes. How do you receive those?
Okay,
did it break you?
By
or
then I was not saved. We were not saved.
Oh, you're not born again. You are
we
not
were not born
Christian,
again by
okay.
then. We were not born again. But the doctor assured us that it is something which can be corrected.
Okay.
So from the assurance from the doctor,
You had some hope still.
so we had some hope. So there was no need for panicking.
Okay.
We knew it was something which was to be corrected. Yes.
And engineer, when after you've been married now for 2 years and there's no child, and then now you're going for test, that night before the result came out, how were you feeling? Maybe there's a way this that can come and say that you are the one with the problem. Were you prepared that in case it's you as a problem, you will continue, and if she's the one, how are you prepared to receive the news?
We were expecting anything and everything. The doctor we were referred to, we were also assured that he was one of the top-notch gynos then. Unfortunately, he has since passed on. So we went through the test. One of my colleagues had also had a similar problem, and this doctor had attended the family, and they were able to get a baby. So that gave us reassurance that we were in safe hands. Yeah. And this was a doctor of high repute. Yes.
So when now result came out and you are told that she's the one who has a problem and not you, for us men, we will say, at least there are still options. Thank God it's not me, it is her. Or you will be grieved, saying, hey, now what are you going to do here? What came in your mind at that time?
At that point in time, I didn't think of any options, because the doctor told us that it is a problem that could be easily solved. And from his point of view, it was not a big deal. So it was very reassuring that this is a small thing. We should be able to get over it. We didn't know that it would take another 20 plus years. Unfortunately, the very first doctor passed on, but it didn't work. So we kept trying.
Maybe just to ask a question on behalf of somebody maybe who is going through the same, how did you support her through that period? How did you become a support system to her? Because the period was long enough.
You see, in all these things, when you are still trying, you see light, until you realize that the light is not bright enough. It's dimming.
Yeah.
So in the early ages, we always thought that it was going to work soon. And then the very good thing was that my late mother did not put as much pressure on us as the rest of the community. The other members of the family, the rest of the wider clan, they were a lot more aggressive than my late mom. My late mom kept telling us that, all these things is always God. So even as you try this, keep focusing on God. If it is in God's will, He will do it. Yeah. So that gave us strength.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I know your medical journey was very long, moving from one hospital to another, with still hopes. At what point now did you now reach and you discover that we have reached the end and there's nothing you're going to do about this?
Okay, later on, before we go there, he got saved.
Okay.
Him. And he wanted to work in the church for the Lord. Actually, there was a time he even wanted to resign and go and do church work. But later on, he said, no, I can even work and at the same time serve God. We belong to the Anglican community.
Okay.
So he wanted to serve as an elder. But then I was not saved. To me, I thought he would desert it and marry. So I discouraged him from going to be commissioned
In the
be
church.
a lay reader. Yes. I told him, even if you go, why you go to be a lay reader and tomorrow you will decide to go and marry? Why can't you just forget about it? He didn't speak.
So
I
you knew
told
that
earlier.
you knew that he will be marrying
Yeah,
again.
according to me, I thought he was going to marry. So, as I told you earlier, that he's a man of a few words and firm. He didn't say anything. He didn't tell me that I will marry or I will not marry. At first, before. And he just decided to go to Luanda to measure on the ropes. When they were being commissioned, he just invited my mother-in-law and people from home. And there was no option for me. I had to stand behind him as his wife, as he was being commissioned.
Okay.
And he knew I was not for it. But he had made up his mind. I told you he's such a man who is so firm. Once he has decided. I never wanted him to go there as if he was not a married man.
Okay. So that he can make another option when he wants.
We stayed for 6 years without a child. And then already he knew I was having a problem.
Yeah.
Within that 6 years, he knew I'm the one who was having a problem. Because when I was operated, I became so ill. So when they wanted to take me for another operation, he told the doctor, I will leave there like that. I don't want to go. I have to go again for another operation. Almost died. And so he owned me the way I was and decided that life must move on.
I know most people will tell you marry, get another woman. Did you get some pressure from your side? Now that he has a well size, you can't give engineer a child. What options are you offering to him?
Pressure was from everywhere. What do you expect when you are having? Even from where I'm born. Of course, because I'm married to an engineer and he's able, and I'm not able to reproduce. Even them, they would want to bring somebody. But I want to thank my brothers and sisters. They were really holding my hands. They were never for. They were never for. They look for somebody to bring. I had my brothers, one of my brothers passed on, and the other one remained, and then the other young ones. Those young ones I cannot say because they are young. But my sisters, my real sisters, and my brother, the one who remained because another one passed on. They didn't think of it, but their relatives, especially their relatives, from my side, relatives, not my real siblings. On my neck. They would really want somebody to hear when you are visited that somebody is staying in that house. But I want to thank the Lord because I used to stay with all sorts of people. I didn't, to me, I said if somebody wants to marry, you cannot force the person, especially somebody who's having a car and somebody who's able and is working. He can have a wife somewhere else and you're somewhere else and you don't know. So people just have to be disciplined. So I said, I'll take it the way it will come. But when I started praying, now I prayed for the kind of life I would want. Of course, I did not pray for my husband now to marry. But I pray that God may remember us. Although there were forces from everywhere. But being somebody who is able, who is having money, being an engineer. It is not like now.
It's a
not
big,
like now when
in
the engineers are poor. Being an engineer, you are in a big place and people
it's a noble place. Sorry.
But with all that, he stood his ground. He stood his ground. And he told me that if God will not give me a child with you, then I think I'll die without a child.
Wow.
Because I think when I was putting pressure on him, to marry.
You told him to marry?
I told him. The pressure, when the pressure was too high for me, I told him, please, can you marry so that I can have peace? I want to serve my Lord. And
Imagine that pressure on him now.
And you.
From her, from the
And
society.
he had your permission to marry?
I told him, can you go ahead and marry and live your life with your wife, and I live my life. I want to serve the Lord because this pressure is too high.
What was his response?
That's it. There are two things he told me. One, he said he can't have two wives because he cannot love two. He will only love one, and he wants peace.
Pause. Wapendwa watazamaji, we are talking about an elite. This is a noble man from Nyanza. He is learned.
Yes. Those who marry voluntarily without being told to marry.
I don't know how to sit. Let me sit close to my husband. This is a guy. He's tall, dark, and handsome. He has a Mercedes.
An engineer.
He doesn't want to marry. I don't want to. Just continue that part.
Two, he said he wants peace. Once you have more than one wife, you don't have peace. So
that's a big advice to us men. The more the wives, the more problems.
So he said he wants peace. Three, he asked me, tell me a man who can decide that today I'm going to impregnate my wife. Have you ever heard of that? That today I'm going to impregnate my wife. So if I marry another wife and she doesn't give birth, what are you going to say? So he gave me three, and then I just now gave him.
Engineer, from where I come from, if you are earning 10,000 and then they add you 5,000, you add another wife. If they add you more again, you add. So the more the money, the more the wives. Now you, an engineer working with the Kenha, you have all the money. You are in Nairobi, your wife is in the village. You can as well get another wife and hide her in town. What stops you from doing all those things?
That's a difficult one. You know, life is not all about marriage. It's not all about women and children. And so, you can. I know people who have very many wives, but their life is literally hell on earth. On the outside, you might think they have peace, but they don't even want to go home. And sometimes they don't even know which home they want to go to. Whichever home they go to, there is no peace.
Trouble.
Trouble.
Yeah.
On one or two occasions, you might be told, go back to where you came from. So really, I did not want to get into that kind of a situation.
Wow.
And so I left it to God and say that, God, if you want us to live as a family, we surrender everything to you.
But one thing, later on I got saved. I made up my mind that I wanted to serve the Lord and live a full life. With or without a child. I had promised my God that I would serve him with or without a child. Then I wanted to live a full life. And because he was saved, actually the day I got saved, he cried. So the pressure was from everywhere. But I want to thank God for the faith he gave me, the kind of faith. God gave me people.
There are people who would keep encouraging us. And a lot of them, even as we were going through this, a lot of them didn't know that we didn't have our own children, because our house was always full of children. So one or two who knew would keep praying for us. But the bigger majority kept seeing children in our house, and they knew that these were our children. In fact, I remember that when I went to announce in our church that my wife was going to give birth, everybody was like, "What are you talking about? You are always coming into church with children."
Yeah.